Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is kind of interesting because today I'm going to be reviewing a model of firearm that I've actually reviewed in the past. However, if you search my channel, you won't find it. That's because it was originally posted to my old channel before YouTube took it down, and I guess I didn't save it, so I was not able to re-upload it. So we're going to do a range report on the CZ Shadow 2 for a second time. But I'm not going to do a range report revisit. I do remember enjoying this firearm, and it's been over a year and a half since I shot that original example, so I'm coming at this with pretty fresh eyes. I also feel like I'm a better gun reviewer now than I was when I made the original video. So we're just going to act like I've never shot this one before. Isn't that just a beautiful model from CZ? It's a competition style gun at what I think is an affordable price point for this style of gun, and it definitely tries to compete with guns that cost twice as much as what you would pay for this. And we're going to find out if I think it's actually worth it. Now, before we get into the things that I like and don't like about this gun and talk about all of its features, I always want to thank the people that make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this really cool pistol. His name is Colin. He's a fan of the Texas Gun Vault, and he has lit a bunch of guns for me to review. So thank you so much, Colin. As always, I want to thank my Patreon supporters because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here. And if you guys want to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month and get all these videos early, there's a link in the description. And I always want to give a huge shout out to my primary sponsor for every one of these range reports. Honestly, the best grip manufacturer in the world, Brownworks. And what's really cool about this particular gun today is the owner of this CZ Shadow 2 has purchased a set of Brownworks grips with a custom logo. Take a look at those. Look at the finish on that. You can even see in the gloss how perfect they look. And that logo is something that Colin came up with. It's the first letters of his and his wife's name, and he even has a matching tattoo on it. And that is just a beautiful set of grips. Look at that. Look at the finish. Look at the fit. Man, you can't ask for anything better. And that is why I am so happy to have Brownworks sponsor so many of my videos, because his work, Mark over there is an artist, he's a craftsman, he makes amazing things. And if you guys are looking for a set of custom wood grips for your 1911, your CZ75, Beretta 92, or even Browning High Power, please go check out his website. I'm going to put a link in the comment section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. I'm going to ask you guys to go over there, check out, see what he has. He can make grips out of exotic woods and materials, finish them in a number of different ways, put on custom logos, custom engravings, make things out of laminate wood. He can do everything. So please go over there, see what he has to offer, use that coupon code, and when you contact Mark, please tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. Alright, so let's talk about what this particular firearm is. The CZ Shadow 2 is essentially CZ's entry into the competitive pistol market. It's based off of the CZ75 platform, which many people love and absolutely adore. And that gun is based off of other guns like the Browning High Power and the like. And a lot of people think this is one of the best semi-automatic pistols that has ever been made. And of course, the Shadow 2 is the competition version of that. So we have a little bit more attention given to the lockup, to the slide, to frame fit, and of course, a much better trigger. This has a longer frame. As you can see, the CZ75 typically does not have that. It only goes out to about here. It has a tuned trigger, and this particular version has the safety, not the decocker. Many times when it comes to other CZ75 variants, people like the decocker version. This one has the manual safety, because I think pretty much if you're going to use this gun, you're going to use it like a 1911, and you want the crispest single action trigger possible. So now let's dive right into this gun, and let's talk about the things that I like and don't like. And as always, let's talk about the positives first. And the first thing I really like about this gun is the fact that it is a CZ. Now, CZ is a company that I did not get into early enough. I discovered them later. People told me, Jason, you got to go shoot some CZs and find out how awesome they are. I'm like, CZs are made in the Czech Republic? I don't know. And finally I went out and started to shoot them, and I'm like, whoa. there definitely is something to this. There's a lot of craftsmanship and engineering that goes into these pistols, and I totally see why. I think they're kind of a sleeper gun. People overlook them for other things when in actuality CZ makes some of the best stuff. Plus CZ is a well-run company. In fact, they just bought one of my favorite firearms companies, Colt. You guys know I got my original start as the Fort Worth Colt guy because I loved Colt 1911s, and now CZ owns Colt, and hopefully that's going to bring a bright future to the Colt brand. And speaking of 1911s, this gun shares many features of guns like 1911s, such as an enhanced beaver tail. On some of the CZ75s you don't get that, but that makes holding this gun very, very comfortable. It's going to avoid you getting any hammer bite or slide bite. I've already talked about how this is the safety version, so if you're used to the manual arms of a 1911, you will be able to manipulate that just fine. This gun also uses the locking lug system on the barrel, very similar to a 1911, and I think that adds a lot to the accuracy of this gun. This gun also has a metal frame. Some of the more popular competition guns today, like in the world of 2011s, they're using polymer frames, and there's nothing wrong with that because you can get a very light gun. But with a gun like this that's really designed as a target gun, I really like the fact it has that metal frame. It feels substantial. This is a pretty heavy gun, but you're not buying this for concealed carry, and I like that metal frame. It feels really good in my hands. It feels like a tool and not a toy. And speaking of this gun being used for competition, one of the things that you're definitely going to want on a gun like this is extended controls. You want to be able to manipulate the safety and the magazine catch really easy. And this gun has some nice extended features to this. You can see the magazine button there, very easy to get to. The safety has a big latch to it. This gun is just easy to manipulate and to get to all of the controls. And now we get to the thing that I think is the absolute pinnacle of this gun, because of its price point, it is a little bit more expensive than your standard CZs, but it's about half the cost of many 2011 pistols. But this gun has a trigger that I think rivals the best 2011s. So let me go ahead and adjust the camera. Let me get out the lineman trigger pull gauge. Let's see what the actual trigger pull is and talk about a feature that this gun actually lacks that other CZ75s have, which I think makes this trigger even better. Alright, so I told you the trigger is one of the best parts about the CZ Shadow 2, so we're going to put it to the test, and I've got my lineman trigger pull gauge out, and once again I want to thank a local fan and subscriber, Craig, for donating this to the channel, because he wanted me to include this in all of the future range reports. I also want to talk about one thing about this trigger that I just learned today as I am filming it, and this is going to come from another subscriber, in that unlike many other CZs, the CZ Shadow 2 is safe to dry fire because it lacks the firing pin safety. I got my CZ75 SP01 out, and you'll notice that there is a roll pin right here in the slide. And this roll pin can get damaged when the firing pin goes too far into the chamber if there's nothing in there to stop it. So these are not safe to dry fire. However, these are, because they don't have that safety, thus you can get a better trigger pull. So I don't have to use snap caps with this test. So as always, let's drop the magazine. Of course, ensure there is no ammunition inside. Then let's visually inspect that chamber. It looks like we are good. The gun is clear. And now let's get out the gauge and let's find out how good this trigger actually is. Let's make sure our average is clear. And here we go for our first pull. 3 pounds, 12 ounces. Honestly, that feels a little bit heavier, or it reads a little bit heavier than what I think the actual pull is. Let's try it again, because this trigger sure feels really, really light. All right, then we got 3 pounds, 10.4 ounces. For the next pull, we have 3 pounds, 10.3 ounces. £3 pounds, 5.5 ounces. And then finally we have 3 pounds, 8.8 ounces, which gives us an average of 3 pounds, 9.4 ounces. And as I said, this trigger actually feels lighter than that, but this trigger is very crisp, and maybe some of the heavier weight that I'm feeling is that really defined wall that I really like on this trigger. This thing is honestly exceptional and one of the best single action triggers I have honestly ever felt in a semi-automatic pistol. I am very impressed by it. I really like the shape of the shoe. It's just slightly rounded. It is just an outstanding trigger, and why I think this gun really shines at this price point, because you get an exceptionally accurate and well-tuned trigger for what this is. All right, so that's what the trigger is all about. So now let's get back to the rest of the range report. And as you can see, this trigger is light and it is awesome. And you really have to pull the trigger to understand what I'm talking about, because this trigger is very light but so crisp, and you can predict it and stage it so well. I think this is going to make this gun exceptionally accurate. But now let's talk about the things about this pistol that I don't like. And believe it or not, there's only one thing, and pretty much it's the same thing I talk about with every CZ pistol. And that is the fact that since this gun has inverted rails, the amount of slide surface you have to grip it is very minimal. And I actually find with my fatter fingers, I am always having trouble racking this slide. As you can see, you have a very narrow area right here. And so if you have fatter fingers, I find this is a little bit harder to manipulate. It's not impossible. It's just that I'm used to guns with more gripping surface, or purchase, as some people might say. But that's not really a big deal. As I said, it's something that you can train with. But having those inverted rails is kind of different and interesting. So mechanically, I find that to be awesome, but I do think it kind of slows me down when it comes to racking the slide. But that is a very minimal thing to not like. All right, so now let's get this thing to the range. Let's actually see how awesome this pistol is, or is supposed to be. I remember really enjoying that initial example that I shot and thought it was really accurate. So here we go, 7 yards as always. Let's see if I have any problems, see if I discover anything about this gun that I like or don't like that I can't find out here at the workbench. So here we go, 7 yards, 1 magazine, and my initial thoughts. And after that first magazine, I think I only have positive things to say. Holy moly, is this thing accurate? Well, it's especially accurate for me. You guys know that I'm just an average gun guy. I'm not doing trick shots. I'm not an expert shooter. I'm not a competition shooter. So when a gun makes me look like a better shot than I actually am, well, I'm already falling in love with it as it is. So wow, this gun is exceptionally accurate, and this trigger is awesome. I really like the fact that this gun is heavier. Normally, I don't like heavier guns, but understanding the philosophy of use of what this gun is, it is great. It's very balanced, although it is heavy, and the heavier frame definitely mitigates that recoil. Yes, it's only 9mm, but honestly, this thing feels like a smaller caliber because the weight of the gun. It is just a naturally shooting gun. It feels great in my hand. It just feels like an extension of my arm instead of something that I'm gripping onto. I am very, very impressed with this. All right, so now let's double the distance of this target, and we're gonna see if this group continues to stay at a further distance, and just see if I can continue shooting this pistol awesome. So here we go, double the distance. Let's see how I do. And obviously I was going for the head on this silhouette target, and I pretty much have the same things to say that I said with the first magazine. This gun is just awesome. But let me show you a little bit more about this trigger. I know I've already shown you on the trigger pull gauge what it is like, but let's do it right here on camera. So here it is in single action. We're going to pull this trigger back. As you can see, it hits a nice wall, and it has a little bit of creep maybe, but nothing bad. And then you have this awesome break. Man, it's like breaking a glass rod. And then here is the reset. That's it, and you are back at that wall. This is just one awesome trigger. There might be a little bit of improvement in there, especially just before you stage it. There's just that little bit of creep. But man, is this thing sweet. Right out of the box, honestly, just one of the best triggers ever on a stock firearm. So impressed with this. All right, so the next test I'm going to do is the one I usually do, which is the bench rest test, or shooting from a barrier. So I'm going to set the target out as far as I can at this indoor range. I think the only issue I really have with these is that I have a hard time seeing where the bullets are impacting because they're so small, and this is at about 20 or 25 yards, and it's not the most brightly lit range. So I just try to keep the sights on the center of the target and hope that I get a good grouping. So here we go. Let's shoot this against the barrier and see if this accuracy continues, which I think it will. And I honestly could not be happier with those results. When I was first shooting this, I could not see where those bullets were impacting. And as time went on and the bullet grouping was so small, it was kind of eating away a little bit at the center of that target, and I could see where all of the rounds were going. So I was kind of shooting blind there, but just putting the sights on the center of the target, and I am really impressed with those results. Once again, this gun makes me look way better than I actually am. And speaking of the sights, I'm a big fan of them. We have a fiber optic sight in the front. Big fan of fiber optic sights, actually probably a little bit more than night sights. And the back we have a blacked out rear sight, and it gives you a great sight picture. Man, these are awesome sights. I don't think you really would have to change them out unless you have something very specific that you would want. Now, the next test I'm going to do is the hollow point test. I want to make sure that hollow points will run through this. And I know some people are going to buy this gun for multiple roles. Yes, it's a competition gun, but some people might buy this for home defense or even carry. Yeah, it's a little bit on the big and heavy side, but it's doable. Some people might buy this as a range toy, or as I said, the competition gun, or all of the above. And so if you are going to use this for self-defense, you want to make sure you can run hollow points through it. Now, I have shot a CZ in the past. It was the PCR, the Police of the Czech Republic. It's a compact CZ75 that I had some trouble with hollow points, and some people complain about that online as well, but I'm assuming CZ has fixed that in most of their guns, but I always want to be sure. So here we go. Let me put a magazine of hollow points through this. Just make sure that it feeds and functions well. So here we go. Let's make sure it works. And that went exactly as I expected that it would. The gun is still super accurate and didn't have any problems whatsoever. And the recoil impulse between the standard ball ammunition and the hollow points was pretty much exactly the same. This thing is such a soft shooting firearm. All right, so speaking of competition, some of you guys might be into that and might need to do quick magazine changes. Now, I'm not a competitive shooter, but if I can shoot this gun fast, drop the magazine, get a new one in there, get the gun back in action, well, someone like you that probably trains this way can do it even faster, but I think this gun will run pretty fast. I know just shooting it here on the range, it just wants to go fast because it's so accurate and this gun is so much fun. So here we go. Let's see if I can shoot this gun fast, change the magazine out, get it back in action, and let's see how quick I can do it. And I'm pretty proud of that one, man. This gun can be shot really fast. This trigger is awesome. It's the fine balance between being a possible duty trigger, which it might be a little bit light for that, but as a range toy, maybe even for concealed carry, I think it could work. It's still, as I said, a little bit light, but it's not too light where I think it's dangerous, but it also can be shot really fast for competition. It is a great, great trigger. I'm so impressed with it. The other thing that I really liked about that is how quick I could drop the magazine. And this big old magazine button is so easy to get to, and those magazines just drop out of there. That is really, really well designed, well thought out, easy to get to. And every time I do these, I'm always point shooting. I'm not really using the sights. I'm generally pointing the gun where I want it to go. And this gun, as I said before, feels like a natural extension of my arms. I really feel like I'm accurate with it, shooting it that fast and just point shooting it. Man, this thing is just checking every box. This thing is just one amazing firearm. Now, before I go and give you guys my final thoughts, I know you guys always like to see the mag dumps. So that's what I'm going to give you, a little bit of pistol porn, and then we're going to talk about my final thoughts and how awesome this pistol really seems to be. And there you go. That was simply just fun. I think this gun checks all the boxes. It's practical, it's crazy accurate, has an amazing trigger, it's well built, I think it's beautiful. Man, it just is so ergonomic. It just is a fantastic gun. Now, when I'm filming this, I went online and checked the prices. Now, I don't like to quote prices because it doesn't future-proof the video, but I will tell you this is about half the price of most entry-level 2011 pistols on the market. And to be very honest with you, when it comes to the performance of this firearm, I think I shoot it better and I enjoy it more than many of those 2011 pistols. And it's half the price and I shoot it better. I honestly think this is a 2011 killer. This is just an awesome pistol. It has every feature you could possibly want on a 2011 and a few other things that you don't get with them that make this gun even better, and it's even upgradable, just like those 2011s. I know there's many companies out there like Cajun Gunworks that do have other trigger options, safety options, and so forth. But honestly, as this gun comes out of the box, it is amazing. It is awesome. I have never shot a pistol this well before, and I am so impressed with it. I didn't have any failures to feed, any issues with it. Just everything about this gun is exactly what I would want with a pistol. And I feel like this could be a dual role pistol. Yes, it's a competition gun, but I think it'd be perfectly fine for home defense. Might be a little bit big and heavy for carry, but I guess with the right holster, you could do it. But this gun is just a great all-around gun, and I feel like you get a huge value for what they're asking for it. And on top of that, as I mentioned before, we have those awesome Brownworks grips. Yeah, those things are just gorgeous. Once again, take a look at the stylings of this gun. Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Now, the only thing about this gun that I really think they could add, which I do think they add on other models, would be a jet funnel. I have seen other CZs, I think one's called the Checkmate Parrot. It has all those cool colors on it. I believe it comes with a jet funnel. I didn't have any problems with the magazine insertion, but that might make this an even better competition gun, and you can probably add that in the aftermarket. But that would be the only thing I would say that they really do need to add. So on my star system, how would I rate the CZ Shadow 2? Well, I've pretty much gushed about this pistol the entire range report, and I think you guys know what I'm going to give it. 5 out of 5 stars. This is an absolutely perfect review. I'm blown away by it, and it exceeded my expectations. I already knew I was going to enjoy it and shoot it well, but I didn't think I would shoot it this well. I can shoot it fast, it's accurate, well balanced, just an awesome gun for its philosophy of use, its aesthetics, its shootability. What a great gun. And now that I'm older, and I fully admit that when I was younger, I didn't appreciate the CZs like I should have, and now I absolutely love them. So maybe one day a CZ Shadow 2, maybe that Checkmate one, will be in my future. But take a look at that, just a beautiful, beautiful gun with those grips. Just has the classic look. And honestly, I think if you're looking to get a 2011 pistol and you're saving up for one, you might want to go to the range and rent one of these and check these out, because I think you get just as good, if not better, for literally about half the price. This thing is a winner, hands down, in my opinion. So what do you guys think? Do you guys like the CZ Shadow 2? Do you guys like CZ pistols in general? And, well, I don't know, do you think I'm a little biased on this? I don't think I am, because I'm not really a huge CZ fanboy necessarily. This one just shot so well and truly impressed me. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And, as always, thanks for watching.